Thanks for joining us on the CBN News Channel. I'm Heather Sells.
And I'm Charlene Israel. Another big step forward for Congresswoman Gabrielle Giffords. Doctors have upgraded her condition from critical to serious as she makes an amazing recovery after being shot in the head. Meanwhile, Giffords' colleagues return to work today, and both sides are promising to change the tone in Washington. Ephraim Graham has more.
For a second weekend, Tucson was the most discussed topic on the Sunday talk shows, and Senator Kirsten Gillibrand spoke of her good friend's recovery.
She's using both sides of her body. She's able to breathe on her own. She's able to open her eyes and to show people she understands what she's hearing and seeing. So she's really, it's an extraordinary amount of progress for a woman who sustained such a horrific injury that she did.
The media and liberals had speculated the Tucson shooter was motivated by heated politics. Even though that turned out to be false, the shooting has sparked a call to change the political tone. And both sides are now talking about working for a kinder, gentler Washington.
I think that we Republicans and I think Democrats alike will realize that if we tone down the rhetoric, sometimes our debate is more effective from our own side.
There is also a call for Democrats and Republicans to sit together at the State of the Union instead of on opposite sides of the aisle. At least two say they will.
That's symbolic, but maybe it just sets a tone and everything gets a little bit more civil.
Some of the problems in our country is we talk past each other, not to each other.
The first bill up for debate in the House is what Republicans had called the repeal of the job-killing health care law. But this weekend, Speaker John Boehner changed job-killing to job-destroying. Ephraim Graham, CBN News.
Thanks, Ephraim. The Republican Party has a new chairman to help it stay on message and strike the right tone at the same time. Wisconsin's Reince Priebus defeated Michael Steele this weekend for the top post. His immediate assignment, dig the party out of a $20 million hole, prepare to take on Barack Obama in 2012, and unite the party as it faces an identity crisis exposed by the Tea Party. Priebus says the party faces a steep hill ahead.
We must never forget why we all do this. Because as Reagan said, our nation is that shining city upon a hill, and we must work to keep it that way.
Priebus is a former top lieutenant to Steele. He's promising to restructure the party to put it on solid financial footing.
Today, America honors the life of Dr. Martin Luther King, Jr. His legacy of peace and purpose stands in contrast to the senseless violence brought by the Tucson shooter. Both subjects came up at church services attended by the nation's president and attorney general on Sunday.
The Obamas have only attended church in Washington, D.C. 4 times, preferring the privacy of the Camp David Chapel. But Sunday they headed to an AME church 6 blocks from the White House. The pastor praised President Obama's speech in Tucson last week and paid tribute to Martin Luther King. In an Atlanta church, Attorney General Eric Holder was doing the talking about Tucson and King.
Last week, a senseless rampage in Tucson, Arizona, reminded us that more than 40 years after Dr. King's own tragic death, our long struggle to end suffering, to eradicate violence, and to promote peace, that struggle goes on.
In Houston, young people in more than 45 bands and youth groups marched in an annual parade to honor King. And in Tucson, young and old alike gathered to stand against violence in what they called the Walk for Peace.
On a side note, the First Lady got some special recognition at the church service in Washington on Sunday. The congregation sang happy birthday to Michelle Obama, who turns 47 today.
In the wake of the Tucson rampage, some politicians are calling for stricter gun control laws. Guns are ingrained in America's history, especially in Arizona, which was once home to the Wild Wild West. Chuck Holton is in Tombstone, Arizona, with the story.
Saloons, stagecoaches, and shootouts all play an important part in Arizona's long history. And that's why even today you'll find the ethos of the Wild West permeates their culture. But if you talk to Arizonans, you'll find that they have very strong opinions about one thing in particular: gun control.
The mass shooting of 18 people at a Tucson Safeway is raising difficult questions across the state as pundits and politicians call for new gun control measures. But 45 minutes south of that city is the historic town of Tombstone, scene of another famous shooting 130 years ago at the OK Corral. Today, Tombstone is a tourist attraction where gunfights are reenacted every day. But recently, the actors rewrote the script here to help people understand that in circumstances like these, nobody comes out a winner. Stephen Keith is Tombstone's Doc Holliday.
What we do is make them real people with lives and girlfriends, and we show how quickly and abruptly that ended. You walk out of our show, you walk past the crime scene, the dead guys stay dead, they don't get up and walk away. You don't walk out there with a happy feeling and want to go play with Daddy's gun.
And despite the daily reminder of the seriousness of gun crime, Keith doesn't conclude that guns are the problem.
We have lots of guns in Arizona. Just about everyone has guns here. We don't have the kind of gun violence you have in a place like Washington, D.C. Now, down south in Mexico, you can't have a gun. And on the border, there's all kinds of gun violence going on right now.
Fellow reenactor Ken Barrett agrees. He's the former marshal of Tombstone and also has a Ph.D. in psychology.
Had he not had a gun, he could have gone to a home and garden store and gotten a machete. He could have used his vehicle and killed 40 people running them down in the parking lot. So to say that this event has anything to do with guns or gun laws is just that happened to be the instrumentality that he chose.
But what about people who don't have gunfights for a living?
I went out and bought more ammunition, and I bought another handgun.
Shirley Reckward is a retired nurse and grandmother of 5.
Existing laws didn't stop that young man, and putting more laws on the books is not going to affect anybody who has a real desire to kill people. Arizona's history tells us that we take responsibility for ourselves. Personally, I cannot do anything about the bullet that has my name on it. But I know that I can do one heck of a lot about that bullet that's addressed to whom it may concern.
Chuck Holton, CBN News, Tombstone, Arizona.
Turning overseas, a Muslim man has been sentenced to death for killing 6 Christians and a Muslim guard in Egypt last year. The verdict comes as Egyptian authorities try to calm religious tensions that after the recent suicide bombing that killed 21 Christians outside a church. The 2 attacks took place almost exactly a year apart, striking worshipers at the same time.
Governments across the Arab world are on edge today in the wake of the overthrow of Tunisia's leader. That came after thousands of violent demonstrators mobbed the capital of Tunisia, forcing out the country's ruler of 23 years. Protesters are angry over soaring unemployment rates and government corruption.
Israel is closely monitoring the government collapse in Lebanon. The terrorist group Hezbollah orchestrated the collapse because they would likely be blamed for assassinating the country's former prime minister. This instability could lead to more violence. Julie Stahl has the story from Israel.
The Iranian-backed Hezbollah has tried to escape trouble in the past by shifting the focus to Israel.
And therefore, it exists as a potential they could do that by trying to heat up the border and turn the issue back into, or turn the attention back to a confrontation between Hezbollah and Israel, in which they can then pose as the resistance defenders of Lebanon.
But Middle East expert Jonathan Spire says the price could be too high to start a war now, even with the expected UN action.
It's a card that they have, but they'll think a long time before playing it.
Still, on his highly provocative visit to Lebanon in October, Iranian President Mahmoud Ahmadinejad traveled to a Hezbollah stronghold just 2 miles from the Israeli border. He told thousands of supporters the Zionists would not last long, should surrender, and go back to where they came from. The green tree line behind me is the Israel-Lebanon border. But on a recent visit to Lebanon, Ahmadinejad called it the Iranian border. It's been relatively quiet here for the last 4 years, but under the surface, Iran's proxy Hezbollah is preparing for war.
Over 150 Shiite villages and others in South Lebanon are being turned slowly, gradually but surely, into Hezbollah military camps.
In 2006, Hezbollah launched nearly 4,000 rockets at Israel, and the military response drove terror leader Hassan Nasrallah into hiding. But his absence hasn't stopped his followers from rebuilding the weapons stockpile by thousands of rockets and moving most of them toward the Israeli border. Israeli Army spokeswoman Avital Leibowitz says their tactics have changed. They've gone underground.
They have inside warehouses, a very big number of warehouses filled with rockets, Katyusha, missiles of all sort of ranges.
Spire says the next war will likely be much worse for both sides.
What we can say is that the Islamic Republic of Iran, and therefore its client Hezbollah, it's not new to anybody to say, is right now on a collision course effectively with the State of Israel.
Just when a war between Israel and Hezbollah will happen is unclear. But as Spire says, in the Middle East, if war looks likely to happen, it usually does. Julie Stahl, CBN News, Israel's northern border.
Israel is rejecting criticism after bulldozers demolished the Shepherd Hotel in Arab East Jerusalem. It is to be replaced by apartments for Israelis. The hotel was built in the 1930s by the top Muslim leader of Jerusalem, a close ally of Adolf Hitler. The demolition of the hotel has become another symbol in the battle over Jerusalem. It angered Palestinians and drew criticism from U.S. Secretary of State Hillary Clinton. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu is defending Israel's right to build in Jerusalem.
Coming up from the Ivory Coast, was the recent presidential election rigged? Gary Lane takes us inside the president's palace for a look at the political standoff that could ignite a civil war.
In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth.
These are the greatest stories ever told. Presented by Academy Award winner Charlton Heston.
Thus saith the Lord of Israel, let my people go.
Join Charlton Heston as he travels the sacred lands of the Bible.
I'm going to take you with me on a journey exploring the stories in the Bible and the ancient land where they happened. This is said to be the very garden. This, the very rock where Jesus prayed for strength.
Now the Bible comes to life like never before. Time Life presents Charlton Heston's The Bible.
And Moses cast the tablets from his hands.
Praised by critics, this landmark TV series is now available on digitally remastered DVDs. You'll be inspired by the greatest stories from the Old and New Testaments, enhanced by historic works of art. Get Charlton Heston Presents the Bible on 4 DVDs for $49.99. Call with your credit card and save $10.
And Abraham stretched forth his hand and took the knife to slay his son.
And that's not all. You'll also get a free bonus DVD that takes you behind the scenes. And if you call in the next 10 minutes, we'll ship for free. That's an additional savings of nearly $7.
For thine is the kingdom and the power and the glory, forever and ever.
Call now to get Charlton Heston's The Bible on 5 DVDs for just $39.99. Call in the next 10 minutes and we'll ship for free.
Now therefore go, and I will be with thee.
Call 1-800-748-5167 to order Charlton Heston Presents the Bible for $39.99 and receive free shipping when you call in the next 10 minutes with your credit card.
Christians in the UK are staying on the cutting edge of mobile phone technology.
They are hoping to reach what is being called the apps generation. Here's George Thomas.
With the increasing craze of downloading mobile phone applications and text messaging, Christians across the UK are using this technology to share their faith. Many Christian organizations have launched downloadable Bible applications, Christian books, text prayers, and video clips. British evangelist Steve Legg has developed an iPhone application for The Sordid, the UK's first Christian magazine for men.
Just really exciting, you know, Sorted is global anyway, but having the app means people all over the world can have access to the magazine immediately. You know, our passion is to reach men with this wonderful message of the gospel. If this gets more access to more guys, then, you know, happy days.
UCB TV manager Neil Elliott says they need to use every platform possible to communicate the gospel.
We as Christians need to be where our potential audience is, whether it's the marketplace of years gone by, whether it's the radio, whether it's television, we need to be there. And the new marketplace of today is the mobile phone.
Glyn Jones, director of the Light Project evangelism team based in Chester, ran a successful mob evangelism campaign recently when hundreds of Christians simultaneously received a text message to share their faith wherever they were at that moment.
Some people were on the bus when they got the message on their phone, and they turned around and chatted to someone on the bus. Some of the more courageous. Others left a note on the bus. Some people were on the beach and they pinned up a sign. They pinned up the message on the beach. Others texted or telephoned their friends.
So with 3 billion mobile phone users around the world, the challenge remains for the global church to engage in technology without compromising the gospel message. George Thomas, CBN News.
Laurent Gbagbo is the president of the West African nation of the Ivory Coast. The United Nations says he lost the recent election there.
But he refuses to step down, even though the United States and other countries are pressuring him. Gary Lane traveled to the Ivory Coast for a first-hand look at what's happening there.
Laurent Gbagbo's opponents call him a despot, a dictator, and human rights violator. A president so mad with power, he's willing to lead his nation into civil war, just so he can maintain his position. But this is what CBN News found at the Ivorian Presidential Palace on the first Sunday evening of the new year. The First Lady, Simone Gbagbo, led a praise and worship service, and President Gbagbo listened intently to the pastor's message, his Bible at his side. He told CBN News he will not give up the presidency, despite outside pressure. He says his opponent, Alassane Ouattara, won the election by vote fraud. And he again called for an international commission to investigate.
Come and seek the truth, to come here and to do a recount of the vote. The rebels have given 600,000 votes to my opponent.
The Constitutional Council is the equivalent of Ivory Coast Supreme Court. They determined that over 500 polling stations, many in the rebel-controlled north, had not recorded a single vote for President Gbagbo. Gbagbo insists he would have received at least 2 at each voting place, because 2 of his representatives were assigned to each station.
Up next, the violent intimidation of voters in Ivory Coast. Is the UN responsible? See the conclusion of our exclusive report from Africa.
What makes the miracles of Jesus even more miraculous? Standing where they happened, in Israel. Come explore Jerusalem, where Jesus opened blind eyes. Visit the hills of Galilee, where Jesus fed the multitude. Stroll through Capernaum, where Jesus lived and taught and healed. To learn more about standing where it all happened in Israel, visit www.goisrael.com. Come visit Israel.
Endless pools are an incredible alternative to traditional pools, making it easy and inexpensive to swim at home. Call our toll-free number or visit our website. A free idea kit and DVD will be sent to your home so you can discover all the benefits of owning your own pool. Compared to traditional pools, endless pools are simple to install, easy to maintain, and economical to run. Our precision-engineered pools enable you to swim or exercise against a smooth current that adjusts to any speed and ability. Endless pools are perfect for year-round health and fitness, relaxation, and family fun. Our free idea kit and DVD will show you how easy it is for the whole family to enjoy a pool right in your backyard or home. An endless pool or an endless pool swim spa can become a showplace for your home. Call our toll-free number or visit the website to find out more about endless pools. The free idea kit will show you just how easy it is to be able to swim at home.
What makes the miracles of Jesus even more miraculous? Standing where they happened, in Israel. Come sail the Sea of Galilee, where Jesus calmed a raging storm. Experience Jerusalem, where Jesus restored a paralyzed man. Explore Capernaum, where Jesus spoke a centurion servant into health. To learn more about standing where it all happened in Israel, visit goisrael.com. Come visit Israel.
As we've been reporting, the Ivory Coast in Africa is locked in a fierce power struggle, and democracy could become the casualty.
That's right. As we told you before the break, President Gbagbo says his opponent is trying to steal the recent election. An investigation shows voting was rigged in at least 2,000 polling places. Here's Gary Lane with the conclusion of our report.
Ian Andre is the electoral commissioner for the northern area. He says he saw armed rebels carrying ballot boxes, and he says supporters of Gbagbo's opponent intimidated voters and carried out many acts of violence.
What happened was terrible because they began to burn cars. They beat people. They told people, don't go out today to vote.
Konif Husseini is a Gbagbo supporter. He says he was attacked after he went to vote in his northern village. He says rebel opposition beat him with the butt end of a gun after he challenged them when they closed a polling station early. He suffered a broken left arm and nerve damage in his neck. They threatened to rape him if he did not leave the area.
I'm very sad, and I'm still traumatized. You think I would be safe in my own village? That's why I went there.
Husseini escaped sexual assault, but Coulibaly Kadi, the Gbagbo campaign supervisor for the northern city of Korugu, wasn't as fortunate. She says a mob of Ouattara supporters bludgeoned her, ripped her dress off, and raped her. Part of the assault was captured on a cell phone camera. She was left for dead, but survived the brutal attack. Yet the physical and emotional scars are still with her.
I feel so ugly inside. I don't like myself again because I feel so dirty. I feel like I'm dead, I'm not alive again.
Kwasi Ferdinand was the Gbagbo campaign director in the central region of Ouakikoko. He says Gbagbo campaign offices like this one were destroyed, and he says several Gbagbo supporters were assaulted as UN representatives looked on.
They didn't help us because they said they are sorry for what is happening, but they can't do anything. They just watched.
Nearly 10,000 UN peacekeepers are assigned to Ivory Coast. Ivorians are becoming increasingly hostile to their presence. I met 2 hospitalized men who said they were shot by UN troops last December 29th. Mahi Rabe says he was walking home from work in the capital city of Abidjan just before noon when armed peacekeepers arrived by truck and opened fire on a crowd of people.
We don't understand why people who were supposed to come and help our country shot at us.
And that's one reason Gbagbo wants the UN to leave. But Ouattara also alleges there's been violence by Gbagbo's side. He says Gbagbo recruited Liberian mercenaries who have committed many acts of violence.
Some are being killed, women are being raped, and so these are very, very violations of human rights, which I cannot accept. We even have discovered mass graves.
Ouattara wants an international criminal court to put Gbagbo on trial. In the meantime, he says West African nations could act to remove Gbagbo without causing a civil war.
There can be non-violent ways of removing Mr. Gbagbo, and I believe that this should be done as quickly as possible, and so that Cote d'Ivoire can get definitive peace, and I can start implementing the program for which the Ivorian people elected me.
But the Constitutional Council of Ivory Coast, the equivalent of the Supreme Court, says Gbagbo won the election. After studying the evidence, all 7 members concluded there had indeed been voter fraud and said Gbagbo should remain as president. Another key factor, many international and corporate interests would rather have Ouattara as president because they feel they could make more money in the Ivory Coast with him, while Gbagbo would stand up more for the people. But France, the United States, UN, and other nations say it's time for Gbagbo to go. They've expelled many of his ambassadors and have given control of Ivorian money held in the West African Central Bank to Alassane Ouattara because they've recognized him as president. Ivorians in the capital city say they want to decide the issue for themselves. We came to the streets in Abidjan, into a market area known as the Sorbonne, and we asked them, "What do you think?" And they were eager to share it. This is one example. Is it Gbagbo or Ouattara?
Gbagbo is doing his best to bring peace.
He was the one we elected. He alone can unite this nation. We don't want people to impose us another president. And when our Constitution Council choose and give the results, we obey that result.
We don't want bloodshed in this country. We want peace. I want an Ivorian solution, not a foreign one.
For now, the stalemate continues. Many Ivorians and people around the world are praying that this political standoff will end peacefully. Gary Lane, CBN News, Abidjan, Ivory Coast.
Millions of women worldwide love Bare Minerals.
This is smooth, it's nice, and it covers. I like that.
Only Bare Minerals looks like beautiful bare skin, while it covers whatever you want it to. And now you can get our latest kit with our totally new, totally spill-proof Click Lock Go foundation. For over 75% off retail, our new kit comes with Bare Minerals foundation in the shade that's just right for you. Warmth for a healthy glow. Mineral Veil, the ultimate finishing touch, and Bare Minerals Flawless Application Brush. Call now and get 3 full-size gifts worth $57.95 free. Purchased separately, you'd spend over $120. Our original Get Started kit was a great deal at 2 payments of $29.99. But now you can get all this for just 1 payment of $29.99. Save over $90 and get a 30-day money-back guarantee.
Call 1-800-376-4174. Ask how you can receive this handy compact. Call 1-800-376-4174 now.
It's impossible to close an open can with a pop top. Open cans spill in the fridge. What a mess. And open cans lose their fizz. What a waste. Introducing Bottle Top. It turns your can into a bottle with the snap of a cap. Open metal cans can't travel. What a waste. Bottle Top turns your can into a bottle that's perfectly portable. You can't do this with an open can. Bottle Top lets any soda keep its carbonation. Look, bugs are gross, but Bottle Top protects your drink from insects. When you're done drinking, just pop it off. Rinse under hot water and reuse. Bottle Top keeps drinks from spilling. Now get 6 colored bottle tops for just $10. Call now and get 6 more. Plus, we'll send you the can top popper. Just pay separate shipping and handling. You get 12 amazing bottle tops, plus the can top popper, all for just $10.
Call 1-800-377-9176. But hurry, call now. We're giving away a bonus 6 more bottle tops and the can top popper with today's orders. That's 1-800-377-9176. Call now.
And finally, today, New Yorkers are not surprised to see rats inside a subway station.
But they don't expect to find them riding inside the actual train. Passengers on the downtown number 4 screamed as a rat scurried over nearly every inch of their train car. The little guy climbed up the leg of one sleeping rider who somehow managed to keep his cool. Jeffrey Ford was riding that train Tuesday at about 2 a.m. So he pulled out his pocket camera and captured the unbelievable video.
Some people catch it and then they tell the story later. Then other people like me will catch it and then I actually show people later. That poor unfortunate guy, he just got a face full of rat. He just kind of shoulder shrugged it off. The rat jumped off and he went back to sleep. Like, it was so routine for him. He went right back to sleep. The rat was really trying to find somewhere to hide. I think the rat was more scared than everyone else was. When I got off, it was still in the train running around.
Oh my gosh. Oh my goodness. One rider said they paid too much to share a train car with a rat. The price of New York's subways just went up 25 cents to $2.50 per ride.
Not exactly a little guy.
Creepy, crawly. Oh my gosh.
That's all for this hour of the CBN News Channel. You can find information on all the stories that you've seen here at cbnnews.com.
We hope you'll join us next time. Have a great day, everybody. God bless.
Fresh, wholesome juice. There's nothing like it. But until now, you had to stress and strain and make a huge mess to get just a little bit of juice. But not anymore, thanks to the Jack LaLanne Power Juicer. You can drop in whole vegetables, whole fruits, apples, oranges, celery, cucumbers with no chopping, no slicing, no struggling. And thanks to the Power Juicer's revolutionary patented extraction technology, you can get up to 30% more juice than those other juicers. Doctors recommend we get 5 to 9 servings of fruits and vegetables every day. With the Power Juicer, you'll be drinking your recommended daily allowance in just seconds. And the pulp from the extra large pulp catcher can be used to make pasta sauces, healthy desserts, and much more. The Power Juicer is dishwasher safe, so cleanup's a breeze, and the powerful motor is guaranteed for life. Order the Jack LaLanne Power Juicer now for just 2 easy payments of $49.90. And as part of this special TV offer, we'll also send you this amazing recipe guide filled with over 60 of Jack's favorite recipes. Try the Jack LaLanne Power Juicer in your home risk-free for 30 days. If you're not completely satisfied, send it back for a full refund of the purchase price, no questions asked. Call now.
I always wore a mask. I would never let anyone see what I really felt inside. My whole life, all I wanted to hear was that I love you and I want you. I just realized all of the horrible things that I've done in the past to feel loved and accepted. They were fleeting. It didn't matter. The relationship that I wanted my whole life was right there for me, and it was Jesus.